Usage of the word technically. I use this word in my daily language even without knowing what it actually means. Technically speaking, there is no big difference between and. So what does this word imply? Not in the literal sense, but when we combine it with a sentence. Is there a specific context to which we are supposed to limit the usage of this word? Because I hear it almost every day. Can we substitute the above sentence with, literally speaking, there is no big difference between and? Is the word technically supposed to bring out the meaning as in literally does? Are they synonymous? Can we use them interchangeably? If not, then what does the word technically actually refer to? W.T daily English usage.
I like the Wiktionary definition, which is based on precise facts. Consider the following example. I earn $9,000 per year and live comfortably, although technically I am below the poverty line. Technically is used to introduce the contrasting observation that although the author considers herself well off, she is in fact a pauper based on a precise definition of poverty. This use of technically to provide contrast seems typical. I would not agree that technically and literally are interchangeable. Literally refers to the literal as opposed to figurative meaning of a word or phrase.
If you describe something as technical, you are suggesting there are many detailed aspects and implying that perhaps it isn't reasonable to go into so much depth. So following this logic, technically is stating that something, as a result of many detailed aspects, would shed light in a different manner, usually contrary to what has been said previously, as if to demonstrate a point. In other words, you could replace technically with, if we went into more detail, you'd find that the following is true.
Many words and phrases originate in technical jargon, where they had meaning specific to the relevant field. Later, they are often popularized in regular language, where their meaning changes into something more general, less specific to the field. We may then say that such an expression is used either technically to narrowly, strictly, or broadly, generally, popularly. Kate Moss is really obese, as Chanel won't hire her anymore. I mean, she isn't technically obese, since her body mass index, the number doctors use to determine obesity, is still quite low, but that doesn't matter on the catwalk. Since technical jargon is often more precise and detailed than other language, the phrase technically speaking is tending to develop a meaning identical to strictly speaking, as in your example. This in turn may sometimes even evolve into something closer to a general intensifier, like really. This broader use of technically is resisted by some, who feel that it introduces another synonym of strictly that we hardly need, while rendering its original sense, as used in the relevant field, unusable. They advise that technically be reserved for expressions used in a sense specific to a certain field or profession, as opposed to cases where strictly would do. Literally means non-figuratively, non-metaphorically. If you mean something literally, you say it in such a way as to exclude anything but the simple interpretation, if several interpretations are possible. I am literally burdened by my large breasts, and their weight hurts my back. I am also figuratively to non-literally burdened, because I don't feel free to wear any shirt I like because of them. This word too is now often used to mean something like strictly speaking, and even as a general intensifier, which is strongly discouraged by many style guides.
Other answers seem to cover a broader scope than the question actually requires. In the common expression technically speaking, the precise meaning of technical isn't really the issue. I could have preceded the above sentence with technically speaking, it would still be grammatically and semantically valid, even if it looked a bit odd. That's because technically speaking is an idiom, cliché, imho, that effectively means something like bearing in mind some minor point of fact which I happen to know, and you either don't know, or are ignoring a comma.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.